Attack on Titan Season 1 is better than you remember. In the totality of Attack on Titan's story, the nuance and intrigue of the early episodes often gets lost in favor of arcs like Return to Shiganshina and The Rumbling. Understandably so, Season 2 onward turns the drama from black and white into a grey mashup of human-on-human conflict, taking time to delve into backstories of the characters and pay off every mystery in the story. All of it wrapped up with immaculate twists and action. In comparison, many view Season 1 as a bombastic collection of action scenes strung together through melodramatic, shallow character interactions. It opens with impact and gives you a few sequences of adrenaline, but the characters and ideas lack depth. Personally, that analysis misses the mark. For me, Season 1 offers an unmatched exploration of community horror while opening our eyes to a wide cast of characters who all learn to question authority and morality in the face of a devastating, nightmarish situation. Character development and growth comes from the questioning of authority and facts about the world, all the while Isayama twisting the traditional coming-of-age story by putting the recruits into a hellish landscape. When thinking of Season 1, my mind always goes to the years of anticipation for Season 2. I would watch and rewatch those 25 episodes every night, spending my days talking theory with friends. Yet, I always came up with issues I had for the first season. Mainly, the story was boring outside of the big action scenes, as if a show I rewatched a dozen times in a year could be boring. This isn't to say Attack on Titan Season 1 wasn't beloved right away or even after other seasons started releasing, but I think there's this impression that the character writing and exploration of themes was tossed aside in favor of big action, and that later on in the show they get explored far more, and I think that view devalues the work done in that first season. The first 25 episodes cover three major arcs: the fall of Shiganshina, which serves as a prologue, the struggle for Trost, and the female Titan arc. All three have arguably the most raw horror seen in the entire show, from the initial Titan onslaught to later on a young girl trying to revive her partner, or soldiers dying like flies trying to protect one person. All of it triggers a primal response in the viewer, this type of horror action blend that no matter how brutal it gets, you just can't look away. Recently, I've been revisiting Attack on Titan's story, and Season 1 really has stood out. The character writing and world building function in a way that has aged so well in the context of the later story, and on top of it, the bombastic side of Season 1 is brilliantly executed. When talking about the season's quality, the action horror comes as an afterthought. Well, of course it's good attitude. But I think the way Attack on Titan introduces and elevates the Titan conflict knows no rival in the space. Isayama focuses on the collective. We spend time in the first episode with a grieving mother, and after disaster strikes, we get a full view of the destruction in addition to the trauma Eren goes through. The second episode and Battle of Trost do a great job at giving us a zoomed out look into how the Titans slaughter the innocent. This focus on the collective adds to the terror. All of humankind goes through this suffering, an inescapable dystopian reality that sees zombies on steroids. The Titans represent a perfect dystopian threat, resembling humans while diving into the uncanny valley. These first battles also tap into the fear of the liminal, abandoned streets, a single person roaming an empty path surrounded by towering buildings, a focus on the in-between spaces, only for a monster to come and snatch you up. Horror transforms in this season from unknowable world-ending threat to the reality of humans wielding that power. The female Titan arc raises the stakes for what the Titan conflict can be, and there is still so much we don't know. The instinctual Titans already posed a threat almost impossible to overcome, but now we have Titans that will chase down scouts, shredding them with athleticism. Refined Titans that are more threatening than dozens of normal ones. In the city of Trost, soldiers could use rooftops and escape into headquarters to hide from the threat. In the open, we take on a different kind of horror. The terrain split into fields or thick forest, both of which prove to be difficult to navigate when the female Titan is chasing you down. The blind belief in sacrificing the many to save the important one is on full display, only adding to the terror Eren feels. The female Titan's brand of action has a a different feel from the rest of the series, and it will continue to change in Season 2 with the Clash of the Titans, and later in Return to Shiganshina, to the insanity that we see for the War for Paradis. But I don't think anything is as terrifying as the moments in the forest when you don't know if a Titan will spring out of nowhere to kill you or your friends. Season 1 hits you with a mix of scope. Scene to scene, you're enveloped with the threat in front of you, while in the back of your mind, you're trying to understand the existential questions presented. How can Titans appear and disappear? Who would want to wipe out all of humanity? And how were the Titans created in the first place? Much of Isayama's attention in these first 3 arcs are setting up a strong hook. From the first attack, viewers desperately want to know the answers to the world building, but we also can't escape the reality of the moment. Later seasons still have amazing action, but don't reach that same level of horror because of the spectacle it reaches. The well-crafted action in Attack on Titan's first season is enough to make it great, but Season 1 offers much more than that. Like all great seasons, Attack on Titan Season 1 has no skips, every episode giving us meaningful insights into the characters and ideas, setting up the importance of each character's ability to question the world around them and construct their own goals and aspirations, their own worldview. We all know how excellent of a job the first episode does at introducing us to the world and tone of the show, but episode 2 is brilliant as well. After Eren makes his declaration, we cut to the food rationing going on and get subtle and explicit exploration on what society is like in the inner walls. The world isn't brutal just because of the Titans, but the people making decisions in the interior despise commoners from the outer walls, making life even more difficult for them. The Titans have not created a new class divide, but given the king and nobles a chance to exasperate the issue. The realities of how the king operates exists up close in the decision to send tens of thousands of people to their deaths as they try and reclaim Walmaria, but Eren doesn't directly engage with that corruption, as he still chooses to join the military. Instead, we focus on Eren's relationship with nationalism, and how he wants to take on the fight against the Titans through the system that has failed to make any full meaning progress for 100 years. The first season looks to exploit our fear of the unknown, and uses a young boy as the catalyst for that fear. Eren idolizes the Scouts, the only section of the military that seek to explore the outside, the part of the military that is looked down on for trying to challenge the status quo. While the Scout Regiment does challenge the military, they're still enforced by bureaucracy and nationalist ideas. Those ideas swirl in Eren's mind, whose passion and will run so strong that he's committed to killing every single Titan. The second episode revels in the collective horror I spoke about earlier, while also setting the stage for the brutal world deeper within the walls that will become even more explicit in the third season of the show. Even so, it's right here for us to explore. Take episode 3. Off the back of the explosive first and depressing second episode, we kick into a training camp of sorts, as we are introduced to the majority of the cast that will take us through the rest of the story. Here, Isayama leans on tropes in a good way. Jean embodies everything wrong with the current military forces who care more about living an easy life than protecting humanity. From there, a rivalry is born with Eren. Reina and Bertolt are introduced as reflections of Eren and Armin, people who have experienced hell form a bond through their traumatic experiences. The third episode rightfully makes things lighter as the cadets find humor really for the first time. A lot of that brought up through Sasha and Connie's characters. The cast might not be the most unique at the start, but they all leave enough of an impression that it resets the narrative well. Of course, Eren isn't the only one going through all of this, but it's an entire group of characters all dealing with the horrors that the Titans present. And I do think the characters go beyond just normal tropes because of the setting that they're placed into. When you take a normal asshole character archetype like Jean, or you take the naive protagonist like Eren and put them in as grim and brutal of a situation situation as Attack on Titan presents, the situations those characters are about to go into are forced to develop differently than you would normally expect for these character archetypes, something we see come to full fruition in the last 2 seasons of the show. Episode 3 and 4 shift the tone, adding humor to a story that could so easily only exist in the darkest of moments. It gives the audience relief from the bleakness of the story's start and fuels us with hope for what Eren and his comrades could accomplish. It's impossible not to look at these character introductions without the context of what's to come. These 2 episodes are so much fun to revisit, especially with characters like Reina and Bertolt, as there's so many subtle hints to them being the colossal and armor titan. You also have Historia being viewed as a goddess when she is in fact a queen. Isayama takes a concept-first approach to Attack on Titan. He hooks you in with mystery and emotion and leans on character archetypes to get you invested in the cast easily. Later on, as the mysteries turn into knowledge, he adds nuance to the characters. This direction for the story was really easy to see from the first couple of episodes. Eren is the prime example. He gets humbled in training, and he will time and again throughout the season as his idealistic outlook gets torn to shreds. The 3rd and 4th episodes of this season do a great balancing act. They introduce you to characters beyond our main trio, while knowing the audience is really ready to get back into the desperate feeling of facing titans. Smartly, the anime includes much of the recruits' training before Trost instead of using flashbacks like the manga does. I think this builds the feeling of preparedness really well. Eren and the rest feel as if they're ready to face the titans, when the reality is harsher than that. The 5th episode pays off this short break. As soon as things settle and Eren and his fellow cadets think that they can take on the titans, the colossal titan appears. The battle for Trost hits harder because of the episodes beforehand. While we haven't spent seasons with these characters, the damning threat of the titans is more than enough to have us empathize with all of the characters. Episode 5 is one of the best in the series. The animation has a fluidity to it that's really unmatched, as good as anything we see with Levi later in the show, and it's this episode and the ones to follow that feel synonymous to the series. Characters running through abandoned streets, trying to survive the mindless titans. After witnessing the death of our main character, characters are pushed to the brink. This moment has been talked about ad nauseum, but it does so much for the story as Eren takes on a rebirth. After witnessing the death of our main character, the rest of the cast is pushed to the edge. Attack on Titan has thrown us into a nightmare, one more terrifying than the majority of horror films, yet we watch it unfold with adrenaline as we hope humanity can start pushing back. The first time you watch this, you wonder how could they kill off the main character, but I think this metaphorical death is worthy of exploration. But first we get Mikasa's backstory, as she, for 2 episodes, takes on the role of protagonist. Episode 6 explores the idea of kill or be killed, and the fact that humans can be seen doing things just as harmful as titans, even though they should know better. Mikasa's devotion to Eren starts to make sense in this context, and she views him as a savior in a unhealthy way. Mikasa has the power to defeat the titans and goes on ahead when others don't have her skill. She's the first example of a crossroads characters will come to time and again in the first season. Should you rely on your comrades, or should you take matters into your own hands? Here, being reckless almost gets Mikasa and the others killed. Just when things become their most dire, Eren bursts onto the scene in Titan form. The nature of humanity is laid bare when the garrison regiment corner Eren, preparing to kill him out of fear of what he represents. Eren's rebirth brings him back as an enemy of the state he was so willing to give his life to. Here, Armin stands up for his friends in a way he wasn't able to on the battlefield, and it buys enough time for Pixis to arrive. Eren's death and eventual transformation into a Titan spawned countless memes about him becoming the thing he hates, but it adds a really interesting context for his character. In the first 5 episodes, he has a naivety on what he wants to do, to kill all the Titans no matter the costs, not worrying about any risks or nuance to the situation. Now that he has literally become the thing that he wants to kill, he will have to formulate his worldview from the ground up, something that he will go through for the next handful of seasons. The second half of the Trost conflict sees a thrown-together plan where Eren will use his Titan abilities to plug the hole in the wall. Looking back on this twist a decade later, it's really insane how seamlessly it's executed. The pacing of the story works well to keep us in this insane situation. Eren's character has to live with being a contradiction to his own goals, and Armin and Mikasa develop in their own right. With the prologue of the first 4 episodes, then into the pure chaos, and first minor win for humanity in over 100 years, we see how well these 12 episodes are structured. A step towards the impossible has been made, but that step feels minuscule when staring into the eyes of a Titan. The first core of Attack on Titan focuses most on setting up the mystery of the world and the terror of living in it. Yet, a lot of groundwork has been laid for each major character. When I think back to how many viewed the cast after its first 25 episodes were released, much of the criticism stems from trying to shrink the scope of the story from something that would go on to be 90+ episodes into one that would have ended in 25. Of course, the entirety of the cast hasn't gone through major character arcs because there is so much more of the story left to tell. Character development is directly tied into how characters view the government and the king. By honing in on a cast who are all coming of age, the start of Attack on Titan's story seeks to challenge the notions and planning of the higher-ups. Eren, Armin, and Jean all begin to challenge orders from above and learn to start questioning everything around them. When we learn of the world in Attack on Titan, we accept reality at face value, questioning only what Eren and Armin question. The season spends a lot of time getting our main characters and the audience themselves to step out of that mindset and to begin questioning everything. What makes the character dynamics work in Season 1 is how Eren views the military only as a vessel to stop the threat of the Titans, while other characters view it as a job or a way to serve the king and not humanity. Notably, Marco, who has pure intentions of serving the king, is killed off first, a character who fails to question the corruption around him, his death being a catalyst for Jean having a change of heart and deciding to join the Scouts. The character work directs itself to questioning the interactions and facts given to you. Attack on Titan wants you to observe the motives of those in powers by continuing to seek different solutions. This exploration directly opposes the fascist undertones that so many people believe Attack on Titan has, as the entire basis for every single character is questioning the acts of authority. While Attack on Titan's first season does go to lengths to show the Scouts as ultimate badasses, this is an action anime after all, it does a lot of work in the female Titan arc to have us question the national outlook that many of the characters have, just now directed towards the Scouts. After Trost, the narrative slows for 3 episodes, rebuilding the drama from the ground up. In retrospect, I can't believe I ever thought these episodes were boring. Eren's trial reframes the narrative, showing how even the most devout soldiers can be portrayed as an enemy. Erwin and the Scouts step in, getting control of Eren and his new Titan powers for a short period of time as they will try and push beyond the walls once again. After this, we're introduced to some of the best characters in the show. Jean and many others are inspired to join the Scouts after the horrors witnessed in Trost. Eren experiments with his own Titan powers, and we get to know Erwin, Hanji, Levi, and many of the other Scouts. This trio of Scouts are maybe the most memorable characters in the show, doing a lot to add some texture to the cast. Hanji adores the Titans, seeing them as a marvel worth investigating. Levi keeps to himself but holds his squad dearly, and Erwin represents maybe the only high-ranking member of the military with intentions of freeing humanity from the walls. Erwin has a claim for the best character in Attack on Titan, and he pushes the rest of the cast right away. Erwin questions the government, and we quickly learn how at odds he is with the rest of the military. He is a white knight of leadership, an individual who stands up for what Eren believes in. He questions the role of the government, the ways in which it withholds information. When he asks Eren,
"Who do you think the real enemy is here?"
we start to realize that there are humans among them who would wish for things to stay the same, who like the idea that humanity is stuck behind the walls. The 3 episodes after Trost confirm the new direction of the story. The enemy is not a mindless monster that happens to have overwhelming strength, but something we can understand. The enemy is ourselves. That understanding only makes the horror more terrifying. Erwin leads the Scouts, new recruits and all, on a mission beyond the walls. walls. Notably, details of the mission's true intentions and the location of Eren are muddled, while Trost's conflict used liminal horror as the texture for the Titan's attack. The female Titan arc leans into brute force, and we get an athletic Titan who kills in cold blood. If you thought fighting humans controlling Titans would be easier, that gets laid to rest when the female Titan starts swatting scouts out of the air, making the elite look average. The female Titan arc forces our characters to grow, as we see the irony in Eren sacrificing his squad for the chance at gaining more knowledge about the Titans. Eren, Armin, and Jean try and figure out why they would do this plan. Eren in particular goes through a lot here. He wants to kill the Titans, and now he has the power to actually do something about it. But in the moment, the Levi squad begs for him to follow orders and stick to the plan. Eren puts his faith in his comrades, those who have far greater experience than he does. For a brief moment, the scouts succeed and lure the female Titan into their trap, only for her to escape. Soon afterward, she ravages the Levi squad and engages with Eren in hand-to-hand combat. The action here turns into something akin to a power fantasy as our characters wield immense power, but all of it can only be seen through the massive casualties. Eren and the remaining scouts escape, but the female Titan remains. Hours into the expedition, the scouts return empty-handed. Another example of Attack on Titan's brutality. There was so much great material during the battle in the forest. Armin talks about how humanity must become monstrous in order to overcome the Titans, a similar line of thinking to Mikasa in episode 6. All the while, we watch so many characters die for a direct purpose they don't even understand. The ways revolution, rebellion, and progress are achieved will go on to be a greater theme for the rest of the story. Here, Eren puts his faith in others, and it results in their deaths. Later, he will take the fate of the world into his own hands, not taking on the advice of his comrades. The final 3 episodes of the season reveal the true intentions of that expedition, which was to unmask this Titan shifter. Here we learn of Annie's betrayal, and her and Eren fight one last time in the streets of the city as humanity gets another victory, defeating the female Titan. Annie's twist as a villain to humanity perfectly ends the mindset shift for our cast in season 1. The harsh reality of the world is not by accident, but those who mean to oppress others. Our closest allies can sometimes become enemies. Attack on Titan Season 1 introduces us to a dystopian reality, then has us question our assumptions on where the story will go and what facts we've been given. Isayama introduces characters through easily accessible archetypes: Eren the naive protagonist, Jean the classic asshole, Armin the smart coward, Levi the badass, Annie the hardened friend, and pushes on those tropes with his setting. Some, like Jean and Armin, see ample growth in these first 25 episodes, but all of them are given a solid foundation to at least empathize with. When you pair that with unparalleled action scenes and amazing world building, you get what I can only consider to be a perfect season of anime. Looking back, Attack on Titan Season 1 tapped into something the rest of the series could never match: the existential horror of facing the Titans. Every episode was surrounded by that terror of the world Isayama had presented us with, and it's only added with the naivety of the characters. What impressed me most about the first season of Attack on Titan on rewatch is how well it introduces us to the cast, while exploring some really big ideas. I don't think these first episodes get enough credit for accomplishing so much. It's easy to look to the payoff and be satisfied with the bigger moments, but that wouldn't have been possible without the strong storytelling at the start of the anime. Attack on Titan Season 1 hooked fans in with a devastating setting and fascinating mysteries, but between the bombastic action and soap opera reveals is a litany of compelling discussions and moments. Isayama crafted a masterpiece right from the start, and the production that Wit Studio did in the first season did so much to match the skill of Isayama as an author, at times even making improvements where later seasons didn't quite do it so much. Season 1 is filled with moments of brutality that still land with impact, and between them you get this fascinating cast of characters who learn to question the world around them, who come of age in the most horrific of circumstances, and it catapults us perfectly into the insanity of the rest of the show. And it's for all those reasons why Attack on Titan Season 1 was better than I remembered. Thank you so much for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun revisiting Attack on Titan's story, so if you want me to do a retrospective on every season, let me know in the comments, because I would love to talk about it even more. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. Their support is crucial for this channel to keep going. If you pledge, you get access to this channel's Discord server, where I host monthly anime watch-along discussions, your name at the end of every video, and exclusive posts. I've also started uploading a lot of my content on TikTok, so make sure to give me a follow there if you haven't yet, and be on the lookout for some exclusive TikTok videos. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.